Hello and welcome. I am Rachel Meyer. I met some of you earlier over Teams. I'm the Executive Director of the Northwest Region. I want to welcome you all to Santa Rosa, California, to the Schultz campus, and to beautiful Gettinger Hall. So we had an incredible donor who made this possible. And in 1975, this incredible idea was born to train dogs to work with people with disabilities. It really happened alongside of the ADA movement, and we're very proud to have that as our heritage. And here we are, many years later. We now have 6 regional centers. This is one regional center as well as the headquarters, of course. So much goes into making these dogs who they are. Of course, they're bred, which is amazing. And then we have puppy raisers who help to raise them as volunteers for about 18 months. And then they're turned in, and we have our incredible kennel staff. We have some of them today here who help to take care of them, and our trainers who then help to continue to train them. And then, of course, there's a lot of time spent with you all working with them, and I know that's a lot of work, and I know you've been through a lot, and I know that you've waited some time. So we're honored that you're here today. We're honored that you are here to graduate, and I want to just take a moment and congratulate everybody. I know it's been a journey. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to a video about the dogs and about the training, and then I'll be back.
Well, hello to all of you here. Thank you for coming. It's great to see you. And to all of you who are tuning in on our live stream, welcome. And to those of you who are watching the recorded version of this on YouTube, how's it going in the future? My name is Ken Reed, and I'm the senior instructor who had the privilege of teaching this latest class for hearing dog teams. And we often express how fortunate our graduates are in being matched with these dogs. And while that is certainly always true, I also want to express how lucky these 3 graduating dogs are being matched and going home with these fine people. These dogs get to live with a deep sense of love and partnership that few other common dogs get. The depth and sincerity of the feelings that these folks have for their new partners after only 2 weeks will only grow and increase in the years ahead. And I know these dogs understand that. I'd like to introduce you to Sharon. You saw in the slideshow the wonderful and joyful interaction she had with her dog Tilly at the very first moment that they were matched together. What you didn't see was the serious and nervous look on Sharon's face. Sharon is a person of deep feelings, and I'm sure she was trepidatious as heck, wondering if this was the right thing for her. Those photos show you just a bit of the joy that we saw between her and Tilly. The partnership was further solidified the next day when they were out for a little walk outside together. And normally, it takes a few weeks of the dog and the person practicing together before the dog can be expected to independently alert the person to various sounds. But when Tilly heard a construction vehicle out here beeping nearby and instantly told Sharon about it, Sharon started crying, realizing that this was real. Sharon, will you join me up front, please? Presenting Tilly are her puppy raisers, Lily and Jim Matsui, who traveled here all the way from Idaho today. Lily? Congratulations, Sharon and Tilly. Let's now meet Sherry. You can stay right there. You can stay there. I'll let you know. Sherry is a retired school teacher, and after I got to know her, I thought to myself, you know, I'll bet she was one of those teachers who is so popular and loved by her students. She is warm and engaging. I'm certain that she has been a very positive influence to many young people over the years. Personally, my takeaway memory of Sherry will be of her infectious laugh. So many times when I would send these 3 teams back to their individual rooms to practice a training assignment that I've given them, I would then hear Sherry laughing as she returned to class to report on how it went. And in my years of experience, there are few things that facilitate a human and dog bond better than sincere laughter. And I'm certain that her new hearing dog, Nala, loves the sound of her laugh. Now, would you join me up front? Nala was raised by her puppy raisers, Lorraine Lamb and her daughter, Lillian Campbell. Unfortunately, they were not able to be here today. So presenting Nala is our own Casey. Congratulations, Sherry and Nala. Next, I'll introduce you to Grant. Grant and his wife, Christine, drove all the way here from Nebraska. And now Grant has a new partner to help him navigate his way back. More importantly, Kalika will help him navigate through a world that he can't hear. Grant is a retired counselor, chaplain, and minister, and as such has helped many people find comfort in difficult times. Now we all get to give him something that will help him through the difficulties of being a person with hearing loss. To see Grant and Kalika together, I can't help but think that they've known each other in some past life. When I introduced them together on the second day of team training, you could almost imagine Kalika coming up to him and saying, "Oh, it's you. It's good to see you again." Grant, will you join me up front? Presenting Grant with his new hearing dog is her puppy raiser, Lori Clark from Santa Rosa here. Okay. And every team training class gets to choose which member of their class is going to be the class speaker. And this class has chosen Grant to speak on their behalf. So now that you've gotten her settled down, you want to come bring her on up here?
When I told people some months ago that I had applied for a dog with canine companions, and it was a hearing dog, I got these sort of blank stares. I wondered about it, and as the conversation would ensue, it became very clear to me that they wondered, what in the world is a hearing dog? Is this dog going to talk to you somehow so you can understand? And I realized then that there was a lot that needed to be known about hearing loss as well as what hearing dogs can do. And I was tempted actually to suggest to folks at Canine Companions that they get a special t-shirt made which says, "I can't hear, talk to my dog." I come from a long line of hearing challenged adults. I had excellent hearing for the first 48 years of my life. I could hear the kids move anywhere in the house. I could hear anything that went on day or night. I loved music, both listening and performing. There wasn't much, if anything, that I missed. But one evening, sitting in the sunroom reading, I was sure that I heard cicadas in the walls of the sunroom. It took a few evenings over a few months for me to realize that the cicadas were not in the sunroom walls, they were in my head. Tinnitus, the sound that the brain creates to fill up that space where the hearing used to be. I resisted when my family suggested that I see an audiologist. But thank goodness when I finally did, the hearing aids were small. They were hidden away inside my ears, and they were not the bulky kind that my father had worn when I was a child. So I've worn hearing aids for over 25 years. August 2014, I went to my audiologist for an adjustment to my hearing aids. The hearing test showed that my hearing in the left ear had dropped dramatically. Her words to me were, "You need to go see somebody." An MRI gave the verdict, an acoustic neuroma. These tumors potentially impact the hearing, the balance, and the facial nerve. The options were watch and wait, surgery, or gamma knife radiation. The gamma knife seemed to me like the best option, the least traumatic. It wasn't going to restore my hearing. In fact, it would take most likely all the rest of the hearing that I had in my left ear. So the procedure was done on November 12th, 2014, and it's done what it was supposed to do. Subsequent MRIs have shown that it's no longer growing. I lost the rest of the hearing in my left ear, and my balance is sometimes suspect. The joke among acoustic neuroma patients is that you don't want to get pulled over by a policeman and asked to somehow walk a straight line, because you won't be able to. Good girl, where's it? Let's sit. My story is a little bit different from my two classmates. Sharon and Sherry, their hearing loss began in childhood. It involved also adulthood, obviously, for them, and they've had struggles for decades. They've had to endure not only childhood and adulthood times of being hard of hearing, but for years even of not being aware of why they were being perceived as being different. And so they've had to endure, but not always understand why. The reality is that we all long for quiet at various times in our lives. It is, in fact, a relief sometimes to not have the cacophony of modern life raging around us. But what if it's not a choice? How do you tell someone else what it's like to see the wind blowing, but to not hear it? To feel the rain, but to not hear it on the roof? To no longer hear the dishwasher beeping when it's finished? To have your family concerned that you might not hear the smoke alarm at night? The reality of the silence of hearing loss impacts every relationship. To have trouble understanding the meaning of sounds, to conversations be like playing Wheel of Fortune as you try to guess the words and the sentences from the few sounds and letters that you pick up, to play catch up in every group conversation and be reluctant to participate, knowing that your response may be too late at best, or at worst it will be inappropriate, and knowing that the conversation will have moved ahead by the time you figure it out. To have the people you love most in life be the most frustrated, as you know that life has changed for them too. The life of hearing loss is often the life of isolation and loneliness. of anger and paranoia, and always of frustration and resignation. Sometimes I pray for silence. For you see, not hearing is not necessarily quiet. Often the sound in my head sounds like those cicadas from so many years ago. Often I'm blessed with a male chorus in concert harmony in my head. And many nights I'm awakened with sounds so loud that I have to get up in order to distract myself for a while before I can go back to bed and fall asleep. As I talked with my classmates, I was both saddened and affirmed to learn that we have all been living in the shadows and that we've often been afraid to come out into the light. Quite frankly, it's often easier to fake it to the larger world, to pretend that we understand, to guess. But being here, receiving a service dog, is going to out us to the larger world. It's going to be harder to hide, but it's going to be exciting to be engaged with life in a new way. The reality is that our world can expand if we let it. And we will have a wonderful companion to help us navigate that new relationship to the world around us. What little hearing I have will get worse. It will not get better. And so the task for me is to stay connected to those I love, to not succumb to the isolation and the despair, to learn to live graciously with a condition which impacts every dimension of my life and for which I am not grateful. And while I am not grateful for my hearing loss, I and my classmates are enormously grateful for the work of Canine Companions for Independence, for the gift of the puppy raisers, for the patience of Ken Reed, our instructor, and for the many, many others of you who make this work your work. And most of all today, we are grateful for Kalika and for Tilly and for Nala, who are beginning this wonderful journey with us. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that incredible journey, to be so generous with your story. Thank you. Appreciate that. I also want to thank, we have our program staff here. We have Susan, who runs our puppy program. We have Kim, who's our overall program director. We also have development staff here, and many, though they're not here, they're represented our board of directors, who helps us to bring the resources that allows us to do this work. So with that, again, a big congratulations, and I wish you all so well. And we are going to have a little bit of a celebratory parade. And I also want to, of course, thank Ken. I mean, he's been doing this for many years and just does an incredible, incredible job. So thank you, Ken. And of course to Augie, who's been helping you as you all been here. So with that, I believe maybe I'll turn it back over to Ken and he'll direct us.
All right. So we can take a minute to gather ourselves, and then the